because you can't really do stand up in a virtual environment. It doesn't really work. So everyone's asking for like, you know, funny videos and things like that. And I'm joining, like, I'm supposed to join this company's meeting about this, all lawyers, and they want me to just join and just do stuff for like 30 minutes. I was like, feels like I'm a monkey being paid, but I'm like, I'll do it for like $1,000. Like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like weird stuff like that, but it's very hard as when you're primarily a stand-up, like that's all you want to do is just do stand-up. And this is like, feels like it's against, like, I don't want to be a YouTube like sensation.
Right.
That's not what I want to do. But I'm like, at the same time, you have to adapt or die.
Yeah. I would say you figure out the stand-up virtual, figure out the modality that could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's some stuff that works. Like I have a company in Chicago that produces shows and runs a bunch of stuff. And we're doing like pre-recorded content, but we're curating it. So we're making it like a show where we handpick like the comics and they send us a clip. And then we make like a show, like a virtual show that people can join and watch and like comment on. And so we're doing that. But that's still like the audience is already there at the show. It's not like, you know, they have to do it live, because that's so awkward to just have a comic do a set with no audience. Like it just doesn't feel organic. So we're trying to think of other ways to make it better and fun for the comics.
Have you guys watched much of the late night shows lately?
I've seen the John Oliver's show. That's the only one I watched for no audience, and I think his is fine. I think he's just, because he's a stand-up, so he knows how to deliver to silence, I guess, which is a part of the game.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched like any of the main ones yet.
Yeah, they're. I'm a big Colbert fan. Really difficult to watch. I've basically been just not watching it. Trevor Noah, really hard to watch.
Well, I went to this conference with my daughter. She's 14 and she's an aspiring YouTuber and follows all of these YouTubers and TikTokers. And it was amazing, the power of the people on social media. 15-year-old girls that have a TikTok with 30 million people. Yep. And it was kind of eye-opening for me, like, because I'm a marketer and I've been sort of compartmentalizing those books and not paying that much attention to it. But I went to this conference and I was like, whoa, I need to be paying attention to this world a little bit more. Because it was just
wild.
How powerful.
I mean, it's crazy, because even at the comedy clubs, like I work Zanies a bunch, and Zanies will have like stand-up headliners pretty much 7 days a week. But then once in a while, they'll bring in like a YouTube person who will just sell out the club on a Monday and just have like 200 like teeny boppers will be there. Like, and then every comic who's on the show before the headliner is just bombing, because it's like they're not there for stand-up. They're there for like the podcast or whatever weird shit is about to happen. So it's just funny to us. We're all like, what the hell does this person have that we don't? And then they start talking like, it's just that they built up a fan base with all their fans.
I felt about it. Yeah. Because it was all teeny boppers. I'm like, I'm not that. But I mean, like 15-year-old girls sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts, out the door, you know, thousands of people at the conference paying money to do it.
Yeah, I went to not kind of in a similar vein, but obviously different. But I went to this thing called Complex Con, which is all like the streetwear, like Hype Beast, like all those people who like drop like clothes that are like super expensive. And I didn't really like, I knew about that, but I didn't really like understand what that was. And I went to the one in Chicago, and it's just like all these young kids who are, I guess, apparently extremely wealthy, and they just run from shoe drop to shoe drop buying shit. And I'm like, well, this is like it's just like t-shirts. It's not like good stuff.
Oh, it's like
people are paying thousands of dollars. Yeah. And it's just like for the social media, so they can post on Instagram and say they have it. And I'm like, man, I need to drop like a keychain or something that's hot and make a ton of money, you know?
TikTok account and start making some videos.
Oh God, I just hate it. I just don't want to do it, but I'm like, I'm starting to get a little bit better at it, and like, because it's like at the end of the day, it's all humor, it's all comedy, so you can make it work, but it's just you gotta accept the fact that you're not going to be doing it live for at least another month with this quarantine.
I think that I was talking to Azhar about this, Vic, a little bit. And, you know, his big thing is like, let me get my Zoom back in here. There we go. His big thing is like, and he's right. Comedy is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. You know, it's not like it requires the comedian to, you know, present a joke And then the comedian obviously waits for a response from the audience, and back and forth and back and forth. It's kind of a dance, right? Even though it looks like it's a monologue, it's definitely not. It's the furthest thing from a monologue. And so when you're trying to do the Colbert or Oliver or whatever, it's really difficult because there's no back and forth. It literally is just a monologue. So it doesn't work as well. I found myself just not laughing as much with John Oliver and with Colbert lately, because I often like to laugh with the audience in a way, you know? And so, you know, what I told him was like, hey, man, I think there's something to be said for doing comedy on Zoom, you know, like this, where you can get 100, 200 people in a room and, you know, you deliver the joke and wait for the response, deliver the joke, wait for the response. Or Chris has been presenting this idea, Chris Broadhead, of VR podcasting. He's been talking to me about it for like a year and a half. Chris is like a, you know, total tech geek. And I've just been like, Chris, you want to do VR podcasting? Let's do it, brother. You know what I mean? So we've never done it, but I'm like, why don't we get some VR, right? VR cameras, and people feel like they're in the room with you. And then there's a call and response, just like there is with a stage. It's not anywhere near as good, but it's definitely better than what I think Oliver and Colbert do now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have the balls to get up and do comedy as much as I love comedy and humor.
But you were just fine. But you were just fine being role playing a prostitute, right?
Yeah, that's no problem.
You have so many good stories. I bet if you were to do stand-up,
yeah, I'm writing a book, so yeah.
Awesome, great, that's perfect.
Is that part of like the adrenaline though, and like the rush of it?
I mean, it's kind of like, it's a little bit masochistic, because it's one of those things where like you do it and it's really hard. Like Amr can tell you, like starting off stand up, it's not easy, right? You're just going on stage at like dive bars at like 2 a.m. for like a year. Like that's like your life, and doing open mic. And it's like, you get that one laugh though, and that keeps you going to the next mic and the next, and then you eventually start getting to a point where you're like, you're doing better shows, you're like opening for bigger people, you're working the comedy club. So then it gets like more fun consistently. But that's the kind of thing about stand-up. You can fail at any moment. Like there's that element always there. Like you get on stage and maybe the show's going well, but for some reason they don't like you. Like there's so many variables that come into play. So it's one of those things where like you have to be a little bit kind of psychotic to do it. But it's like once you do it, there's no other comparison. Like there's not like, it's not like alcohol. It's not like sex. It's like there's nothing that you reach that's that good. It's like kind of like I equivalent to like a runner's high. Like I work out a lot, and like, you know, after a certain point of running, you get this like kind of euphoric feeling. And it's the same thing on stage, but it's even amplified, like just off like a really good set. You can ride that feeling for like the whole night. Like it's great. But now it's like all of us comics like addicts, and now we don't have our fix, and now we're all like sitting around like, what do we do, you know? So it's really
an opportunity to disrupt then and figure out a different way to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I think. It's forcing more creativity, which is good. You know, it's forcing people to do things differently. So,
I mean, you're saying after this, like going to the movies is not going to be the same. Going to a concert hall is not going to be the same because you're not going to sit right next to somebody.
Yeah, for a long time, I imagine, right? Like even if it's like they gave the all clear, like I'm still not. I'm social distancing for a long time. Like I'm not being.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
They've been talking. So by the way, guys, we are, you know, we're off to the races. We could just continue in with this as the podcast. And in that case, just for safety reasons, I don't really know you guys very well, so I'm gonna just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case, you never know, right?
Where'd you get that?
Yeah, seriously, I was gonna say, where'd you get that, and how many more do you have? Can you sell them to us?
I had a guy. It's so funny. Just a month ago, I had a guy, one of my employees, working here at the restaurant, drywalling, repairing, cleaning, doing all sorts of stuff, and he literally went and bought masks. But he didn't even buy like 1 pack. He bought like 5 packs. So you guys need masks. Totally got them for you, $50 each.
Yeah, the low price.
The low price, yeah.